Move over, Star Wars. Star Trek has its very own lightsabers, but which weapon reigns supreme? Move over, Star Wars. At long last, Star Trek has its own version of the iconic lightsaber, but which version is the best? Both Star Trek and Star Wars feature a number of cool weapons, be they phasers, blasters, photon torpedoes, or lightsabers. The lightsaber is one of a kind in science fiction, but now they have come to the Star Trek universe sort of in Star Trek Lower Decks #2. Star Trek Lower Decks #2 is written by Ryan North and drawn by Derek Charm. The Lower Deckers find themselves at the mercy of the Excalibans, who want Boimler and company to engage in fights for their amusement. Boimler gives a pep talk to the Excalibans, convincing them of the error of their ways. As the Excalibans prepare to return them to the Cerritos, they show the Lower Deckers what they could have had: energy swords. As Boimler and the rest are beamed away, Mariner rues not having an energy sword. The lightsaber, described in A New Hope as an elegant weapon for a more civilized age, is warp and woof in the Star Wars franchise. The primary weapons of the Jedi and the Sith, lightsabers, are one of Star Wars' biggest contributions to the pop culture landscape. Over the years, variations of the standard lightsaber have been introduced, such as Darth Maul's double-bladed model or Count Dooku's lightsaber, which was shaped like a scimitar. Replicas of lightsabers remain popular gifts for people of all ages. George Lucas and his collaborators created something special with lightsabers. With the lightsaber's ubiquity in pop culture also comes parodies, and Star Trek, which is often viewed as at odds with Star Wars, gets one of its own. Star Trek Lower Decks is the perfect venue for such a send-up. Lower Decks not only makes numerous references to other Star Trek shows, but other pop culture franchises as well. Both the Blues Brothers and Twin Peaks have received shout-outs on Lower Decks, and now it is Star Wars' turn. Far from being mean-spirited, however, the call-out is funny and a touching tribute from one franchise to another. For trademark reasons, Star Trek's lightsabers cannot be called that. Instead, the Excalibans refer to them as energy swords, but the design is unmistakably a lightsaber. Holographic recreations of Scotty and T'Pol duel with their energy swords. Scotty's resembles a traditional single-bladed model used by most Jedi, whereas T'Pol's looks a lot like Darth Maul's. The energy swords are undeniably cool, and the Lower Deckers realize this. Unfortunately, they are dispatched back home before they can change their minds about not fighting. Another unfortunate aspect of Star Trek's lightsaber variants is that fans will never see them again. The energy swords were created by the Excalibans, a highly advanced race capable of manifesting thoughts. As such, the energy swords are peculiar to the Excalibans. They do not have relations with Starfleet or the Federation, meaning no exchange of culture or technology. When the Excalibans sent the Lower Deckers home, they kept the knowledge of the energy swords, much to Mariner's dismay. The existence of Star Trek's energy swords raises questions over whether they are better than Star Wars' lightsabers. Unfortunately, fans may never know. Star Trek Lower Decks #2 only provides a fleeting glimpse of the energy swords and not enough to form a basis for comparison. It can be assumed that the energy swords are exact duplicates of the lightsaber, meaning that any fight between the two would most likely be evenly matched. This parallels the eternal pop culture debate over which franchise is the best, one for which there is no easy answer. For decades, Star Wars has held the spotlight as the king of futuristic space battles, with one weapon becoming its most iconic symbol, the lightsaber. A plasma-bladed weapon, ignited at the flick of a button, it is as much a cultural touchstone as any lightspeed starfighter. However, the Star Trek universe, with its own legion of fans, has never truly boasted a counterpart, at least until recent creative reimaginings started surfacing. Now, a new debate brews within the fandom. While Star Trek has always leaned towards technology steeped in logic and diplomacy, could it compete in sheer coolness with the mythos of the lightsaber? Let's dive into the fantasy scenario of Star Trek versus Star Wars, and see whether Trek's answer to the lightsaber can dethrone it as the ultimate sci-fi weapon. The power of the lightsaber, icon of a galaxy far, far away. The lightsaber's cultural legacy is immense. As the weapon of the Jedi and Sith, it represents not just a means of battle, but a symbol of philosophy. Each wielder forges their blade according to their training, and the color reflects their connection to the Force. Green and blue blades belong to the peacekeeping Jedi, while the Sith wield deadly red sabers. Its crackling hum is immediately recognizable, sparking nostalgia and excitement among fans across generations. Mechanically, the lightsaber functions by emitting a focused plasma blade from a hilt, cutting through almost any material with ease. Beyond the aesthetics, the lightsaber holds a sense of mysticism. Though anyone can technically wield it, only those trained in the Force have the reflexes and connection necessary to use it proficiently. It is not just a weapon, but a manifestation of the Force itself. Its prominence as a close-quarters weapon also demands a particular type of combat, blending swordplay with the mystical Force powers. This gives Star Wars its unique flavor, mixing space combat with the style of classic samurai and swashbuckling films. The lightsaber has long been considered the ultimate weapon in sci-fi fantasy, but is it? Star Trek's technological arsenal. Enter the bat'leth and phasers. Star Trek, known for its focus on diplomacy, exploration, and scientific advancement, has typically avoided romanticizing combat in the same way Star Wars does. However, the series does offer formidable weapons. The most iconic among them is the phaser, a weapon that fires energy beams capable of stunning or killing enemies. Phasers are favored for their precision and versatility, with settings that can range from disarm to obliterate. While immensely practical, they lack the mythic appeal of a lightsaber. But if you are looking for something with a similar personal, hand-to-hand feel, the Klingon bat'leth is a contender. A crescent-shaped blade, the bat'leth is a fearsome weapon used in melee combat by the proud and warrior-like Klingon race. The bat'leth is as much a cultural symbol as the lightsaber, steeped in Klingon history and tradition, wielded only by the most skilled warriors. It requires great strength and finesse, and is often seen in epic duels and ceremonial combat. Yet neither the phaser nor the bat'leth quite rises to the level of the lightsaber in terms of sheer iconic value, until recently, when fan theories and alternate versions of Star Trek started to tinker with the idea of Trek-style plasma weapons. Star Trek's plasma sword, a sci-fi rival to the lightsaber? What if Star Trek had its own plasma blade? Enter the plasma sword, a conceptual weapon that has occasionally surfaced in the expanded Star Trek universe. Though not a formal part of canon, plasma weapons have appeared in video games, comics, and fan theories. These blades would operate similarly to lightsabers, but with a Star Trek spin. A plasma sword in the Star Trek universe would likely rely on more advanced technological principles, as Star Trek often focuses on plausible, science-based tech. In theory, such a weapon might be powered by miniature warp cores or antimatter reactors, resulting in a blade of controlled plasma. Unlike lightsabers, which often have mystical associations, a Trek plasma sword would likely be treated as a highly specialized piece of military or scientific equipment. One potential advantage for the Star Trek plasma sword would be customization. Imagine a sword with programmable settings, able to adjust its length, strength, or heat output depending on the situation. Could this more pragmatic, versatile approach give Trek's version an edge over the lightsaber? The ultimate showdown, lightsaber versus plasma sword. If the plasma sword were to stand toe-to-toe with the lightsaber, which would prevail? The lightsaber, infused with the Force, gives its wielder supernatural abilities, precognition, telekinesis, and enhanced agility. Its spiritual connection to the Force is its greatest strength. However, the lightsaber is limited by the user's connection to the Force. Without it, the lightsaber is just a flashy sword.